All right, let's jump right in. Look, every company out there is scrambling to adopt AI, and for a really good reason: efficiency. But in that huge rush, are we forgetting the one thing that actually keeps customers around? A real human connection. Today, we're going to break down that exact tension and explore a new mandate for making AI feel a lot more human.
So let me just ask you this straight up. As you're sinking all this money and effort into automation, are you accidentally automating your customers right out the door? Because, building an AI is one thing. Building trust with it, that's a whole different ballgame.
And this chart, wow, this really says it all. Businesses are chasing AI for efficiency, which totally makes sense. But look at this other bar. A massive 93% of customers still want to talk to a person for anything important. That giant gap between what businesses want and what customers need, that's exactly where trust goes to die.
And this leads us to what we can call the great AI paradox. It's this weird situation where the push for peak efficiency, faster, cheaper, automated everything, can backfire and create this huge trust problem with the very people you're trying to help.
Now, let's look at the hard numbers behind this paradox. On one side, you've got the promise, and it's super tempting. AI can slash costs by 50% and solve problems 28% faster. Awesome, right? But then there's the customer's reality. 93% would rather talk to a person, and 84% think that person is more accurate anyway. So you gotta ask, are we even optimizing for the right thing?
And just to be super clear, it's not like customers hate technology. They don't. In fact, 86% of them have a really clear message for all of us. They think AI's job should be to make customer service more human, not to get rid of the human touch completely. That right there, that's the new mandate. So, how does this whole paradox play out in a real-world market that's just exploding with growth? Let's take a look at Bangladesh. The rapid digitization happening there is creating these incredible opportunities, but it's also making that need for a trusted, human connection more critical than ever before. And the scale we're talking about here is just huge. We're talking over 77 million internet users at the start of 2024. That is an enormous digital-first audience that businesses have to connect with, and they have to do it in a way that feels real and authentic.
And this brings us right to the heart of the local dilemma. You've got 72% of marketers in Bangladesh ramping up their AI spending. But at the very same time, 42% of them are really worried that that same tech is going to destroy the trust they have with their customers. They see the problem coming.
So, how in the world do you fix this? How do you get all that amazing efficiency from AI without losing your customers' trust? Well, the answer is a clear, actionable strategy. So let's walk through what we're calling the empathy-first framework.
Here it is, the whole thing at a glance. It's a 4-step checklist, really, designed to put that human element right back in the center of your AI strategy. We're going to map intent, we're going to handle the handoff smoothly, we're going to get proactive with personalization, and we're going to be transparent. Let's break each one down.
Okay, let's get practical. This is how you actually do it. This is the step-by-step guide to building an AI that feels less like a frustrating robot and more like a genuinely helpful partner.
Step 1 is all about using AI as a smart filter, not as a brick wall. The goal here is simple. Immediately figure out which customers are frustrated or angry or just have a really tricky problem, and get them to a human who can actually help them, and do it fast.
So here's what you do. You use AI to detect the sentiment, the emotion in the conversation, and then automatically route those high-stakes issues. And you'll know it's working when your customer satisfaction score, or CSAT, on those calls goes up, and when people aren't just hanging up in frustration while they're waiting for a transfer.
Okay, step 2, the contextual handoff. This fixes what is probably the single most annoying thing about customer service, right? Having to repeat your problem over and over and over again. The AI should do that heavy lifting so the human agent can just focus on solving the problem. The action here is so simple but so powerful. The AI just generates a quick summary of what's happened so far. The agent sees it, and they can start the call with, "Okay, I see you're having trouble with your bill," instead of that dreaded, "So, how can I help you?" This has a huge impact on your first contact resolution rate and makes it way easier for your customers to get help. Step 3 is where things get really, really smart. This is where we stop just reacting to problems and we start getting proactive. You use the data your AI is already collecting to anticipate what a customer might need, sometimes before they even know they need it.
Here's a perfect example.
If your AI notices a customer keeps putting stuff in their cart but never checks out, it can proactively offer them a small shipping discount on their next visit. I mean, this isn't just nice service, it's smart business. And you measure the success with the big ones, reducing churn and boosting your repeat purchase rate.
And finally, step 4. And honestly, this might be the most important one for building trust. Just be honest. Tell your customers when they're talking to a bot, and always give them an easy, obvious way out, an escape hatch to a real person.
The action is literally that simple. Disclose it and offer an escape hatch. Don't try to hide the bot. This kind of transparency is so powerful you can actually measure it with things like a trust index score. At the end of the day, giving customers control is the foundation of any healthy relationship. Now, you can do this entire framework perfectly, but if you miss this next point, especially in a market like Bangladesh, none of it will work. And it's this: the context of how you communicate is way more important than the code running behind the scenes.
This quote from a South Asian case study just nails it. Your AI only works if it truly understands the voice of the customer. And what does that mean? It means training it on local languages like Bangla and English, understanding cultural nuances, and picking up on how people actually talk. Without that, it's just another generic, frustrating robot.
So, let's wrap this all up with the key things to remember. First, the 86% mandate. Your customers want you to use AI to be more human. Second, the 93% truth. For the tough stuff, people still want to talk to people. Your goal should be to augment your team, not replace them. And finally, use this framework to directly attack that 42% trust deficit.
So I'll leave you with one last question to think about for your own business. When you really look at your AI strategy, ask yourself, is it designed to build long-term relationships, or is it just there to close tickets as fast as possible? Because that answer, that's going to determine your future.